Welcome back to some professional StarCraft 2. I'm excited to introduce in the bottom right, in the red, one of the last chances for a non-Korean player to qualify for the prestigious Global StarCraft League, competing in Korea right now. She is Scarlett. Now, quite a storied competitor on the other side. It's been a while since we've seen him. And if he does his job right, you'll barely see him at all. The Trickster, the global champion. It is SOS. Yes, he's back and has been attempting to qualify throughout the year. This is the final chance, the final round of the GSL qualifiers. Both these players, I think, at that level, but with only a best of 3. Honestly, personally, I would love a longer series, but best of 3 will decide who is pretty much the final qualifier for the GSL this season. So, let's get started. And most importantly, of any build order, when looking at PvZ or really any matchup, is making sure to beg for likes and subscribes. So, if you haven't yet, it would be awesome if you smash that like button. You maybe gently caress the subscribe button or just look at it already pressed. And Jimmy, what are we at? What? 1,141 likes. I'll cast another series. And I'm looking forward to casting, honestly, Scarlett fan, but SOS getting through. 1, another Protoss. 2, one who has a great history in GSL and an actual chance of maybe taking down someone like Maru. So while Scarlett, I think has the potential, I'm thinking about who's going to dethrone Maru here, and I have to give that edge to SOS, if only because he's such a wild card. All right, he's proxy nexus, proxy gated, cannon rushed, and everything in between, as long as it only took like 24 probes to execute. So we already starting out a Void Ray to deny any additional scouting. Definitely a costly choice, but more costly if you don't know what the Protoss is doing behind it. A second Stargate. Okay. So that's what we're doing. Scarlett, Broken Queens, third base. That's okay. All right. It's a carrier rush. Of course it is. A more dramatic version of early aggression, but definitely early aggression. I mean, I guess there's a small chance of Tempest here, but I think carriers are on the agenda. Scarlett has Zerglings to keep tabs on any third base. The fact that there hasn't even been a half-hearted attempt at one at this stage is already a bit of a tell. Scarlett adding on the Roach Warren as well. But at this stage of the game, she has no idea what SOS is doing besides something. Well, shenanigans are afoot. Just what exact flavor? What type of danger it's going to be? That's still very much up in the air. Little does she know how true that statement is. Carriers in production. There begins SOS. Yeah, Scarlett is building like this is going to be some sort of Twilight timing. And honestly, SOS has sold it like one. As the third base a bit late, but Adepts on the ground, just the Void Ray. Was there even an Oracle? No Oracle. On its face, it looks like a potential Twilight, like an Adept, or even a Charge Lot Archon timing. Roaches are in production. The carriers are out. Will he use the carriers to defend the base? I think that'd be a huge mistake. The carriers are unleashed and actually give away a lot of this. I'm very surprised SOS, he very likely could have held on to that base without the help of the carriers. But now going across the map, giving any additional warning to Scarlett is, she's not going to be complaining. 3 queens additionally on the way. Plenty of drones as well. Spire starts. These are important seconds that SOS kind of gave away by using carriers to try to kill Zerglings, which is like using a rocket launcher to... Or using like a aircraft carrier to kill ants, in this case. I guess, you know what, maybe 40 to 60 feral hogs. How about that? Oh, that's too obscure. Winter, you can't make references that obscure. Okay, it just sounds weird. That's alright, they're used to it. Well, The amount of queens is too damn high. The carriers themselves, vulnerable to attack, alongside the interceptors being taken. Like, he just gave the whole game away. Not quite literally, but the whole hiding this information until later on. Now it's going to be adept glaives. But Scarlett, plenty of queens gathered, 11 of them. Having a Zerg player forced to build more queens is just an extension of the early game here. Scarlett did not have to go out of her way for this whatsoever. There's not even +1 attack. I'm not optimistic. The queen's moving back so they just take down the interceptors. Yeah, it's just not happening. 10 corruptors are on the way. SOS is now banking on a big adept timing to follow this up. There are still a lot of interceptors here. The queens have to be careful. You have to decide. Are we going for the carriers or are we going for the interceptors? Because if you get half and half, you're going to be entirely dead. This is a weird fight here. Looks like one carrier will be taken down, but the DPS on the interceptors is adding up. SOS, with the slow grind here, takes down all the queens. And oh, hello. The soon-to-be glaved adepts. Recall takes down one carrier, gets a second one a split second. One carrier gets out. The adept shade in. The revolving door of Protoss here. As the carriers teleport away, the adept shades teleport. I don't think Scarlett was ready for this, as evidenced by the sheer amount of drones. Well, only 6 drones so far. And it's starting to add up. Still not game-ending damage, and the corruptors are on the other side of the map. Stalkers have to be warped in to help. Shield battery overcharged. Oh no! So that was the wrong battery was reshielding the carrier there. The secondary battery, the normal battery, the non-overcharged one was reshielding the carrier, which doesn't shield as much, but still had energy. So the corruptors were able to take it down relatively quickly. The adepts are still giving Scarlett the runaround here, but they enough roaches intercept them. And all of this is clearly on creep. SOS doing a hill, well, this is kind of a, if you taunt the bull, you're gonna get the horn situation, as Scarlett had plenty of economy ready. She had the queens for the carriers, and even though they got taken down by the time they were, the roach count was high enough. And the corruptors were on the way out. So Scarlett has both the ground and the sky covered, whereas SOS is now kind of pulling back into Blink Stalkers. Looking very, very good for the Canadian Zerg right now. But she's got to close it out. And SOS, it's not so much like getting a knockout blow as catching an eel, which is dangerous at the best of times. It's like an electric eel, I guess. That's also poisonous and has like a lightsaber as well. I don't know, like, it's just holding it in its mouth. All right, and it's thrash. I don't know if it works underwater. Not really relevant here. It's dangerous, okay? You got to be very careful. That's the point. Even at 196 to 107 supply, it's not 100% sure thing. Damn close, though. SOS taking a 4. His best shot at this point is to feign strength, while Scarlett, at this point, I think Scarlett needs to attack. All right, you got to press. You're maxed out. Work towards a hive, get the upgrades, but it's time to go. Using corruptors to try to melt through rocks. Unfortunately, the stalkers were there at that exact moment. The roaches and ravagers gonna have no trouble with the same objective here, though. Just breaking on through. Scarlett battering down the gates here, figuratively. I'm sure the literal ones are next on the agenda. A bunch of stalkers on the other side of the map. DTs! Oh, where's the detection? There's an overseer right here. The DTs are chasing towards it. Somehow SOS sent enough stalkers onto the other side to actually force Scarlett to pull back. That, combined with the DTs, will buy SOS a few more precious seconds. He's only got 7 gates, though. That 4th base is going to be the next target. I'm not sure if this has done more than delay the inevitable, but SOS is getting a little closer in supply. The carriers all got wiped out. They got a classic carrier into Adept Glaives into Blink Stalker DTs. You know. absolute classical Protoss. Well, Classic probably would play a style very similar to this. Probably not follow it up with DTs, though. But the DTs helped hold the third. And now SOS. Well, here comes Scarlett using those Corruptors, trying to melt through the Nexus. The Archons are underneath. The Roach Ravager. Actually, Shield Battery Overcharge helping out a lot, but the Nexus itself is losing structural integrity. The Overcharge helps. Blunks forward. The Charge Lots actually on top of the Ravagers. A full volley of Corrosive Bile actually connects and kills some of the Stalkers, but surprisingly aggressive here. SOS trying to press whatever advantage he might at least pretend to have. But Scarlett with reinforcing Zerglings will force the turnaround. Archons retreating. The Corruptors are still back there waiting for an opportunity. Hive is nearly done. Scarlett just needs to lock this down and throw away the key. All right, still maxed out. 82 drones. She's got 5 bases. Looks like some DTs are trying to slip by. But ever since those carriers were revealed, I think Scarlett has been playing a solid game. Even though it's been a bit dicey, at no point has SOS really been threatening any more than superficial damage. Plenty of creep. Somehow found a spot without detection, but an Overseer moves in to remedy that. Why is SOS not dead? Why won't you die? He just keeps evading it, but a greater spire's on the way. Adrenal Glands. SOS actually working on 2-2 on the ground. Not bad for upgrades. Threw some sentries into the mix. Maybe a good set of force fields. Those rocks have been taken down. Scarlett has a lot of opportunity to move through here still. Force fields are attempted. Ravagers knock them out. We got another round. They're actually doing quite a good job of zoning things out, but the Ravagers doing quite fine themselves. Banelings rolling in, connecting, wiping out the sentries. Corruptors at the natural, though those will be blocked. There's just too much weight behind this Zerg push. And SOS will collapse under it. Still quite an effort to kill him off. But at the end of the day, Scarlett will hold. For now. A little bit stressful when he doesn't just die there, but I do stand by. I think it was a big mistake revealing. It may have been just a miss rally. But revealing the carriers that early, with enough time to build another round of queens and get a spire started. Ooh, those carriers. You saw how dangerous they were before the Corruptors came out. Just another 30 seconds. And I think it could have been a potentially deadly timing. But those 30 seconds didn't happen. And thankfully for Scarlett in Game 2, she's got a 1-game lead. That means 1 game. I mean, there was an entire tournament bracket played before this. It wasn't that they found whatever programmer. They're like, you, SOS. No. But this is the final round. All right, Scarlett, a comfortable victory in Game 1. Not by a huge margin again, but comfortable enough. SOS trying his tricks. Not getting away with them. Not this time. Probe, sharking around. Being annoying. Flirting with the minerals as it do. Drone. Scarlett actually pulling a drone to poke away at it. Not something you always see. It is quite annoying to deal with. Definitely not a huge deal either way, but mentally, though. Probe's definitely the greatest unit to blood pressure raise ratio in the game. I think pretty decisively at that. What is it going to be this time? If I'm on it, part of the reason SOS has been successful in the past is that complete inability to predict. Not even like a Zest-esque, like, I'm just gonna do this, it's gonna work. Even with Zest, a lot of the times you would know what's coming. But it would work anyways. SOS is more reliant on that element of surprise. It's gonna be a Stargate to start, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything here, as last game taught us. I'm not even gonna try. Bro, just looking around. Wouldn't be surprised if Scarlett throws something back at him, but that was a pretty comfortable macro game victory. So why rock the boat? Alright, Stargate. Will be a void ray for everything's on the table. Apparently. Just wait and see. Void ray first. The void ray. I don't know how much of this is playing into the mind games of like last game I went void ray and then I went carrier. This game I go void ray. Will I go carrier again? Maybe more void rays. Maybe charge lots. Maybe just build oracles behind. Keeping those options open. It's a costly choice though. It's already. And okay. All right. Those of you watching at home, he's got a Twilight on the way. What is it? DTs, glaives, blink, charge. Once again, still very much all the options on the table. Glaives are the most obvious, but probably the safest option, as you can almost always get something done. The only question is whether it's enough. Starts the gas as the Overlord is in vision, cancels it. He's trying to sell the carriers again. Is Scarlett buy-in? Ooh. It's glaives. All right. But, yeah, SOS making overtures here. Showing something very similar. Playing the full series. We'll see if Scarlett... Yeah, that third base is on the way. Much quicker than the last game. Evolution Chamber. With no Roach Warren. The Roach Warren should be starting right around now if she had any suspicion of the Adepts with glaives or anything along those lines. You can hold it with Zerglings. It's not fun though. And sometimes it's just too costly to sustain. Scarlett getting +1 melee, adding some Spore Crawlers here. No Roach Warren yet. A fourth base. Well, once again though. Yeah, the Adept count going to be spotted. Roach Warren starts. Scarlett was bamboozled. She spots it most of the way across the map, so has about maximum warning in that sense, but the Adepts get across so fast. They already got glaives done. The Void Ray is also here. Gives a decent amount of support. Zerglings popping out. SOS actually going to complete the shade in the middle of all the lanes. Has a couple queens there as well. Scarlett, I'm not going to be too unhappy with that. As surrounds go, that's pretty close to as good as you're going to get. Queens come back. Only one drone lost thus far. It is not... it's looking quite impotent here, actually. These Adepts forced to recall out. Gonna lose one more and take some damage on the way out. Scarlett, even with no warning. Or at least just a couple shades. SOS just not finding that cutting edge there. And even, ooh, I'm sure she considered it, but those are glaved Adepts. You don't want to lose the critical mass of Lings now that you're forced to build it. Killing the Adepts now is good, but there's no real follow-up for it. There's not much she can do to actually win the game without building a bunch more units right now. And instead shoring up the economy and making sure you have enough units to defend is a priority. SOS, just when you think he's gonna sit back, is when he moves out yet again. One Immortal, 3 set. What is this army? The rejects from pretty much every other Protoss meta. Okay, Mass Sentry, Glaved Adepts. We have a Void Ray out there. Adept Immortal is so Neebsier, okay? This is such a weird... And it's gonna show up with almost no warning again. Scarlett does have a lot of units on the way, but the force fields are quite dangerous, especially before the Ravagers finish. Locks in the drones, though won't have too much opportunity to kill them, unfortunately. And the drones will eventually escape after the gate opens there. That's a lot of adepts. The Queen's not adding much damage at all here. Guardian Shield gonna help out a lot. Knocks down the force fields. +1 melee attack is done. Scarlett breaking through. The force field still not quite enough to keep Scarlett at bay. The Roaches and Ravagers, that one Immortal helping out a lot. So much damage from that Immortal. The only thing really keeping this going. But the Corrosive Bile, Scarlett pushes SOS back to the Prism and knocks out the reinforcements, forces back the main army. Now, some of the Adepts made it into the main, though. And that is going... Oh, gets the Immortal. Big win there. The Adepts... SOS needs to be sending out of himself right now to the Protoss. As these attacks... That one was dangerous. But Scarlett handled it. Calm, collected. Looking like she deserves the GSL a little more right now, I will say. Completely and utterly biased. Let's be honest here. But SOS just keeps trying. He's trying to get his tricks to work. But Scarlett is not having it. She didn't come for a magic show. She came to qualify. There's just nothing here. The Ravagers knocking on the door. Scarlett will qualify and be part of the next Global StarCraft League, and I look forward to casting those matches. But that brings us... No, we're not done to our bonus game. All right, we got one more game, so that way you didn't get spoiled. You thought, oh no, Scarlett is going to lose this game, but okay, all right, that's not that crazy, but we do have the most confusing to cast match. Well, not the most confusing, but just at a glance. Another SOS match from a previous qualifier. Just a single game, but against Sue as well. What year is it? Our bonus match, SOS versus Sue. Now, those of you doing the math back at home might be like, if this was a previous qualifier, SOS loses. I'm not sure, as this was a 3-game series, which means at least one of the games SOS won. I'm not sure if it's this one. I intentionally didn't spoil myself. I just wanted to see SOS versus Sue. But if I was going to cast SOS versus anyone, it was going to be Scarlett. So now we get the best of both worlds. And plenty of Zerg balance wine in the comments. Double win. Honestly, Scarlett clearly deserving it. SOS was not really on his game. You could see that sneaky style. There's a chance lesser Zergs may have gotten caught over-countering. But Scarlett had such a kind of a stable early mid-game. Had enough preparation that even without warning, was able to deal with the Adept Glaives follow-up. SOS spending too much time trying to sell a different cheese that Scarlett was prepared for, a whole platter of them. And now we'll see if Sue can do something similar. I know, it feels like a little bit of deja vu. Red Zerg at the bottom right of Babylon. SOS at the top left. We'll see if it's a similar build. And if it is, I'll be wondering if SOS had anything else to bring to the table, because Scarlett may have watched it before. So... Alright. What's it gonna be? Stargate is very likely, but what flavor of Stargate remains to be seen. I like the Void Ray first. I think that's a good ladder build, especially. Really keeps your options open. Makes the Zerg players think. They hate doing that. It is a costly unit. 100 more minerals. And honestly not... Ooh, just straight to Twilight we go. Okay. Alright. No more about the Stargate. Just like SOS. Quick swerve into the Twilight. still, like, there's so many varieties of openers off it. The reason why Twilight Council is not used nearly as commonly as the Stargate is a lack of stability. Just a lack of ability to constantly scout and defend your bases. But if all you want to do is offense, I think the Twilight still has a pretty solid spot. Another reason, like in the mid-game, if you go for a Twilight Robo, doesn't really matter. Even if you go blank, which no one does because it gets countered by Zerglings, Mutas are back on the menu. The reason why Mutas are not as popular in this matchup is not because of their innate weakness. Well, their innate weakness against Phoenixes is a big part of it. When you have a Stargate and you have an Oracle or multiple Oracles, you can see that you're very likely to see a Spire relatively early. It's very hard to hide that sort of tech. And then you can start building Phoenixes, which technically should never get hit by Mutas. Of course, practically, it's a little more difficult. But if you open up Glaive to Depths, then Mutas are very much on the table as a follow-up later on. Which is always exciting to see. Yes. Unfortunately, unlike the campaign, Adepts do not hit up. It's going to be 1, 2... Okay, I might count them out. 1, 2, 3, 4 gate Adept. So quite a committed pressure, but not entirely all in. SOS has stopped building probes, though. He's at 35. So he's very committed to making this happen. I believe Sue saw the Prism. And, well, now going to see the Adepts. Yeah, the Overlord just hanging out, which is, like, most of its job. Adept's gonna try to shade in. A single queen in the main, not gonna discourage enough, I don't think. Adept shade in towards the natural, not gonna complete it. Gonna set up another shade, or another warp in. Getting some gas at the natural. I don't know what SOS wants to follow this up with, but the Glaive's headed in. Alright, not much here in the main. Sue, no Scarlett in the defense early on, but then again, the context was way different because, of course, there was a Voider in there. Not important. Anyways, the Adepts finding some drone kills, warping it on both sides. There's so many Adepts now. 14 of them, shading out of the main, being whittled down slowly here as the surface area actually reduced by the Spore Crawler in the natural mineral line. Sue down to 38 drones. Oh, but the Warp Prism! Ah, no! It's a disaster! SOS was starting to make some real progress. If he could keep that Prism alive and continue both the threat and potential damage of the Adepts. He's at 43 to 38 drones. All he needs is that Prism, and he forces the units, at least most of them, to stay at home. But he loses the Prism. These are mistakes you just cannot afford to make. He's got a Robobay done. Sue took a lot of damage, but he has a... He's actually fighting the Adepts with Zerglings. Interesting to see. Well, part of the reason is because the Roaches are following it up, and there's no third base. So this is the best fight you're going to get. And if he can deny the third, then Sue can maintain a significant economic advantage as he rebuilds those drones and works towards the lair. Another Prism coming out. A Raptor. I'm sure that's going to get loaded in. Picks it up and heads on out. A dangerous game with Disruptors and Adepts both involved. A lot to manage here, but one good Disruptor hit could break open the defenses. Shade attempted to come in, half-hearted one. Pretty clear that wasn't going to go through. Disruptor heading for the main. Via the Prism, of course. Oh, revealed the Disruptor. It may have been clear, or at least suspected, what was in there, but he dropped the Ruptor out, and now Sue knows for sure what he's dealing with. Disruptor fires a shot. finishes off a queen. Sucks to be that queen, but overall, that's not nearly enough damage. Sue's at 61 drones here. The Adept Shades actually might find an opportunity. A lot of empty space there, but he knows how many roaches are on the field. The only saving grace so far is that roach speed isn't yet done, but it's closing in just a few seconds out. A Colossus in production. Prism. Disrupt. Whoa! 7 kills there. I think 6 of the drones. So far, only 9 drone kills. Kind of crazy, because that's including all the Glaive Adepts. Well, the 86 Zerglings are holding up there. Incorporeal? That's like a ghost. Incorporeal. Yeah. Somebody call for an exterminator. No, not that kind of ghost. Please, no. Not today. Stop it. Oh. Sorry. Alright, dodges the bile train there, sidesteps or swerves out of the way. Infestation pit and a baneling nest on the way. Sue follows it up. Kind of a similar scenario to where we saw SOS against Scarlett. Though Sue definitely without quite as large of an advantage. SOS managing to keep track and kind of keep that supply surprisingly low. Though the drone count, Sue, I don't think you need 80 drones. He may not realize that SOS is only on 50 probes. 3 bases should be more like 60 to 70, but not today. Army. Colossus Sentry Army. These armies are like straight out of a time capsule. SOS his strategies and his control feeling a little dated here. But that doesn't mean he doesn't have a chance. Oh, he's trying to go for the rocks. Deny that opportunity, but there's a bunch of Roach Ravager on the ground. That single Ruptor fires a shot. Big hit. Actually finds a very good opportunity, and suddenly Sue, he's got the Ravagers, but he fired off too many of the Corrosive Bowels early, and now suddenly SOS is able to jam himself into this position here, even with the Ravagers. No Speed Banes. Ooh, a few Banelings trickling in, though. Getting a lot of the sentries and forcing the splits. Another Disruptor shot. Lords away some of the units. A single Immortal in the mix. Oh, a convoluted fight. SOS using the hatchery against him here. Finding a lot of damage. If he's able to kill it off, he limits Sue to just 3 bases. And then, you know, all bets are likely off. The Disruptor charges again. Gonna zone out long enough, finishes off the hatch. And Sue is pushed away from his third. SOS making a lot of progress, just taking the initiative. Building his first probes for several minutes. He was sitting on 48 probes throughout the entire attack. He's like, I guess I need a few more. Though he's starting to mine out of his main, so maybe not. Just now getting +1 ground weapons. Which is kind of ridiculously late to be. And again, Sue's only finishing up +1 melee to join +1 range. Nope. That's my Disruptor commentary there. Hope you enjoy. Don't. Just fly away. What are you doing? Don't do it. Alright. Disruptor recharging. He's waiting. Could hit 3 different bases here. Might go for the drones in the main. Maybe I won't. No. Somehow dodges everyone by casually gliding away. Disruptor, though, looks for another opportunity. Wards away the army at a very important timing because there's an army from SOS! Surprise! And the Banelings are rolling in, doing a lot of damage to start, but he's funneled the Zerg into quite a choke point here. And there's enough Blinkstalkers. While the Colossi aren't great against the Roaches, the damage is really adding up. The drones are on the run, but the Colossi extend their thermal lances and roast them. Where are you going? Another round of Stalkers is warping in. There was a Viper somewhere in production. Oh, there it is. I think he only has 1 abduct. Another shot! This one cancels a bunch of the Banelings before they can finish morphing. I don't know if he spotted the Viper, but takes down the hatch. SOS's off-tempo timings are doing more than enough to keep Sue at bay. And in fact, all it's gonna take... Oh, well. Blink Stalker's going the wrong direction, actually eating a bunch of the Banes. Pretty cost-effective there, to be honest. Blinking 1 or 2 Stalkers in to be a Baneling for the Banelings. Oh, God, that Viper. That Viper. The Viper! Alright, he just killed it. Gets one of the Colossi. There's one in the back. Drags it into the Roach Ravager and knocks it down. The Colossi have been incredibly effective in these fights. But with only one, the Stalker's working on it. The Viper in a bit of a precarious position. The Protoss army thinning out. Sue able to take down the last Immortal. But Blink Stalkers just keep blunking in. He's at 43 probes. Where did he lose some probes? Was there a Baneling run by? I have to assume so. Something happened. He's down to 43. If he had even a slightly better economy, SOS might be able to carry this through, but Sue is stabilizing. He's retaken the opposite base. Only one Colossus is not enough Colossus. He needs to make people debate what the actual plural of Colossi are, or Colossuses. Coloxin. But with only one, it's easy enough. For both the Zerg and the Pedantris? God, I found a new word to struggle with. I have the best words, alright? Like and subscribe if you agree. Like and subscribe if you don't agree. I've covered all my bases. Unlike Sue, who still is struggling to keep it together. But I just don't think one Colossus is going to cut it. I'm impressed by how far the Colossi got. But at the end of the day, the Vipers are able to yank them out. The Warp Prism is knocked down. A recall will be too little and far too late. And SOS agrees. Sue takes the match. Our bonus game honestly being a bit more interesting than our first set, with Scarlett being able to hold the line so strongly. But I do hope you enjoyed this spread of PvZ. SOS is gonna have to go back to the drawing board and maybe come up with something a little less predictable, as the Glaive to Depths just not making the progress for him. But good to see these fan-favorite Zergs having such success. I'm looking very forward to Scarlett in the GSL, and I hope you will look forward to it as well. Let me take that awkward segue and remind you to, if you have the means of motivation, check out Patreon, like and subscribe either way, and we'll be looking forward. I'll be casting for the first time this year, GSL, sending out the games for the people, well, patrons of GSL, so you can check them out yourself if you'd like, but also here if you're so interested. Thank you for watching. I hope I made your day a little bit better. Congratulations to Scarlett. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.